Our next panel moderator has more than 15 years of economic development experience in low-income communities in Southern California.
I'm going to stand up.
He applies his finance, new market tax credits, and redevelopment skills to develop innovative and substantial economic development solutions to help businesses grow. He provides technical assistance to manufacturers in the defense supply chain through the Advanced Manufacturing Partnership for Southern California's Strengthening Competitiveness Program, an initiative of the Center of Economic Development in the Price School of Public Policy at the University of California. In his role as administrator for special projects, he works with manufacturers to improve their branding and messaging, increase access to capital, support their growth, and develop succession plans. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tomas Duran.
All right. All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming to our panel. I know it's asking a little bit with being right after lunch and being so close to the afternoon. So we're going to go through our presentations, and then we'll accept questions from the crowd. I'm going to start off giving you a little bit of an overview of AMP SoCal and the Strengthening Competitiveness Program to kind of explain why we're here and what we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to allow our practitioners to tell you a little bit about themselves and how they've been interacting with my program or our program. Again, I'm with the Center for Economic Development at the University of Southern California. We're housed in the Public Policy School. That's only relevant because what you need to understand is that what we do is a lot of research and the practical application of that research. And we're focused on the aerospace and defense ecosystem in Southern California. And so from our perspective, we're looking at what is that competitive advantage? What needs to be done in order to keep that competitive advantage, and where are the deficiencies? And we recognize that California is not an easy place to do business. And we recognize that there's a lot of challenges. But we also recognize that there's deep roots, a lot of infrastructure, and if we can adjust the way these resources are directed and used, we can really grow quickly. So here's a slide, who we are, what we do. There's a lot of information up there around the Center for Economic Development, but we've been around for more than 20 years, focusing a lot on economic development, regional issues, and looking at regional programs. I'm not going to read all that stuff for you because it's not really relevant to what we're doing today, but I got to include it in my presentation. AMP SoCal is the Advanced Manufacturing Partnership for Southern California. It's a federally funded program that brings together academia, the industry, and the government to find solutions specifically related to advanced manufacturing. The program that I work with, Strengthening Competitiveness, is focused on the 4 coastal counties of Southern California: Ventura, LA, Orange, and San Diego. This particular program is focused on doing direct service to people who are in the defense supply chain. AMP SoCal is supported by a large network of local institutions. Here's a snapshot of some of them now. We've partnered with Northrop Grumman, we've partnered with Boeing. In fact, if you were here for the OEM panel earlier, they referred to several of the programs that we have active with them and how we're supporting their supply chains. Here's another more detailed information about how we help. AMP SoCal has programs that interface and support the development of workforce. We have support and partners that help with red carpet service, helping people access training resources. We do innovation forums. We sponsor conferences, bring together different leaders and people of influence in aerospace and defense in Southern California, and have a conversation between the different sectors. In addition, we support programs like the Export Acceleration, the S&M Growth Accelerator. We've partnered with UCI to create an additive manufacturing certificate program, and we have our Strengthening Competitiveness Program. The Strengthening Competitiveness Program was created and it's funded by the Office of Economic Adjustment at the Department of Defense. The Office of Economic Adjustment is the one that comes in to do base realignments, or it comes in when you have a program like the C-17 ending, and they provide resources to the supply chain to help them adjust and to be able to move on from that program. But their core issue is resilience. What they want to see is that the supply chain from top to bottom is resilient, and so that when there's changes or fluctuation in the defense budget, that they're not so negatively effective that they disappear. What we do within this program is offer basically 6 main products: capital access support, which we'll be talking about in a little bit, growth planning, which is helping diversify the actual customer base. Cybersecurity, we've been doing workshops around cybersecurity for a little over a year, and we've actually helped, I believe it's close to 20 different firms get certified as cybersecure. We do succession planning, because as mentioned earlier, that's a big challenge, where we have something like 13,000 small manufacturers in Southern California, and probably 80% of them are owned by people who are close to retirement. We do branding and outreach. We have a seminar coming up on branding and outreach, which is focused on how do you brand yourself so that you can attract the next level of workforce. We also do webinars and workshops to help the suppliers get access to the resources that they need. All of this is offered free of charge. The two criteria is that you're located in the coastal counties and that you've been negatively affected by defense cuts, which for most people has happened in the last 5 or 6 years. So I want to introduce our panel real quick and kind of get into the things that they're doing. First up, we have Mike Riley. He's the CEO of AMP Fabricating. They're located here in Southern California, and they're a great example of a mid-sized small business that is growing and doing well, but also has continued challenges to move it on to the next level. We work specifically with AMRO to help them address that challenge, and Mike can talk a little bit more about that as after he introduces himself. After Mike, we have Shirley Connors, who's with Savage Manufacturing. Savage is probably considered a micro business, less than 50 employees. They're basically everything they make fits in the palm of your hand. Extremely high precision, extremely high efficient, and they also have challenges that are facing them in terms of expansion or being able to be more resilient. And so we have two really good examples that are representative of probably 80% of all the suppliers in Southern California. Last, we have Elizabeth Gunn from CMTC, who's going to talk about the Export Tech program. I specifically asked Elizabeth to be on this panel because I wanted the people who participate to walk away with something that they could do tomorrow. And her program is something that we can all, most suppliers can access, and she's going to talk a little bit more about how it's the changes that you can make or a route that you can take that can have immediate results for you, and she'll show you how to get there. So without any further ado, I'll let Mike take it away.
Very good, thanks Tomas.
You want it? Top button.
Appreciate you having me today, and Tomas and his team have been a great partner and support as we've been in a growth phase of our company here for the last couple of years, and so happy to be here today to talk a little bit about that and what a great partner that these guys have been to us. So AMP Fabricating is a small family-owned business. We've got about 200 folks right now. My grandfather started the business back in 1977, so I'm a third-generation member of the family. I've been CEO for going on 3 years now. We have 6 buildings, so we have five buildings in South El Monte and 1 in Riverside County. So we are completely Southern California based. So what do we do? So AMRO produces large, complex structural hardware for launch vehicles, satellites, spacecraft. Kind of our core competencies are we do large, complex bump forming and precision machining. So in the photos here, if you look at the top left, that is the window panel for the Orion spacecraft. So when we send astronauts back to deep space here in 2022, hopefully, that is the windows that the astronauts will be looking out as they're orbiting around the moon. The picture next to that is an exploded view of the Sls Core Stage. So we machine, bump form, heat age, and process every single one of the 80 panels that make up the Sls Core Stage. So the SLS is slated to launch next summer, and so we hope that NASA can keep that on track, and that we can return astronauts to space from American soil. The large cylindrical part to the right of the screen is a Airlock habitat module that we co-developed and manufactured with a commercial space venture. And then on the lower left, you see a completed view of the assembled Orion crew module. That's down at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So another cool piece of hardware that we are making is the hatch panel for the launch abort system. So at the launch of SLS, if there's an anomaly during the launch abort system will ignite and carry the crew and spacecraft to safety. And so there you see the photo of the hatch panel that they will go in and out of into the spacecraft. So that part starts life as a 6-inch thick, roughly 8,000-pound plate of aluminum. And by the time that we are done forming it and machining it, it is a lightweight, complex structure that weighs a little less than 200 pounds.
Wow.
Has about 1,200 holes in it. So another part of the spacecraft that we're manufacturing is the launch vehicle spacecraft adapter. So it's a big conical section made up of 16 large barrel panels. So we do the machining and bump forming of the panels, and then we ship them down to Huntsville, Alabama, where the NASA team welds them together into the conical shape. And then we've also got the multi-purpose stage adapter. Cool thing about this is that if you look on the inside of that conical barrel, all those slots hold CubeSats. So when they launch SLS for the first time, this section will be packed full of CubeSats that learning institutions will have on board. We've also got a co-development agreement with a private venture who is developing a single-person spacecraft. So this is essentially a replacement for a spacesuit. So the process of getting in and out of a spacesuit for a spacewalk is quite comprehensive. So the theory with this single-person spacecraft is that an astronaut can be up on space station in street clothes and jump into one of these, little buggies and go with some robotic arms, go do some repair and maintenance work on the space station. We're building significant structures on Mars Rover 2020 and do quite a bit of work with the JPL team in Pasadena. Also supporting Northrop Grumman on their development Omega rocket and ULA's 3 main platforms right now, the Delta IV, Atlas V, and Vulcan rockets. The other side of our business, not related to spacecraft, is design and build of aircraft assembly tooling. And so we have most of this work for us takes place out in Riverside. We have a full design and manufacturing team who helps commercial and military aircraft companies design and build automated tooling platforms. Some recent events and awards. So we were the recipient of a NASA Spaceflight Awareness Award for our work on SLS and Orion. We received the NASA Group Achievement Award for our development work on Orion and our ability to successfully produce those window panels that you saw earlier. Marshall Space Flight Center Small Business of Excellence 2016. We were a NASA Boeing mentor protege for a couple years. We were the Lockheed Martin Small Business Supplier of the Year for 2018 for their Space Systems Group. Boeing Silver Supplier Award in 2018, and I'm trying to see the bottom of the list. The City of South El Monte Business of the Year in 2018. Also, we were one of 3 small businesses chosen to represent U.S. industry at the signing of the executive order. This was last summer when President Trump and Vice President Pence reinstituted the National Space Council. So we were honored to be part of that. So one of the big things for us as we go try to capture a lot of this advanced work and these big programs is job training, and we've got a lot of really good machinists and welders and technicians who are entering the stage of retirement. So we've really beefed up our with the help of Tomas, we've really beefed up our training programs. So we've got partnerships in place, specifically out in our Riverside company with the Valverde High School. We've got an excellent welding training program where we're taking students before they even graduate high school during the summertime. We're getting them in the shop and getting real life work experience for these young men and women. And the photo that you see up here is actually 5 students that we hired after they graduated last year. And so, it's really cool to be able to engage with the local high schools and start training up the future of our business. Again, the Price School of Public Policy. So 2 years ago, we were in a position where we were seeing a lot of opportunity for larger, more complex work. And so Tomas and I were in a meeting one day, and I said, hey, we're looking at buying some really large capital equipment, big new machines. Do you have anything that could help us out? So Tomas put together an excellent program for us. Him and his team spooled up, and from cost analysis to cost of operations, risk mitigation, what alternative options. We looked at all of our alternative options. Are there companies we can sub this work out to instead? I mean, we went through the whole gamut. We spent a few months working together on this project. I can't say enough about Tomas and his team. They prepared a full report and presentation for us, and really helped us in our decision making and our risk mitigation. And in a large part because of that, we now have two brand new high-speed machines. One is the one that you see here. It's a large turning and milling center. Another one we just finished installing. It's a large 5-axis CNC machining center. And it's opening up so many doors for us. It's completely changed the dynamic of our shop. It's opened up new opportunities with new customers, and can't say enough about how much the program helped us out. And this is a picture here of our South Almonte team. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Mike. Pass that to Shirley. I asked Mike to be part of the panel because I wanted to illustrate that you have a fairly mature manufacturer here who's doing stuff that's going to space. This is space tolerant stuff. And even though they have a number of awards, even though they have enormous capacity, they have a lot of great relationships, there was still some administrative stuff that was kind of snagging them a little bit, keeping them from able to make that choice about, do we purchase, do we outsource, do we lease, how are those things going to affect their ability to grow? But they knew that in order to remain competitive, they had to make that investment. Mike, how many jobs do you think you're going to add with the new machines?
So we estimated about 20 to 24 new jobs.
Well, 20, which is, from our perspective as an economic development organization, a huge return on the amount of time that we spend.
Significant. I mean, you're talking 10% of our workforce increase.
And with the higher speed machines, it allows them to be more efficient, reducing your production timeline, right? And puts them into another class of being able to go after new jobs. So the hope is that as he continues to grow, his supply chain will continue to grow, and it's all supporting the rest of the ecosystem around him. I want to shift to Shirley, because her company, which is a fantastic example of the excellence in not only operation but production for Southern California. Walking through her shop, you don't see a chip anywhere. It's incredible how it's cleaner than my house. I mean, it's a wonderful environment, and the precision that they have and what they're able to do there is really, really impressive. And when I was talking with Shirley and first met her, the challenges that they're facing, I recognized were shared amongst almost everybody else that I had talked to of the 150 or so manufacturers that we have been interviewing over the course of the last couple of years, which is that sequester really screwed up everybody's books. For the ones that survived, it became like an albatross that was hanging around your neck, and really inhibiting your ability to grow in the current market and take advantage of the upswing in business now. So Shirley's going to introduce her company and talk a little bit about where they're at, and then this is a work in progress. We have not yet completed, much to my chagrin, we have not yet completed our project, but we're getting there.
Hi, my name is Shirley Connors. I'm the operations manager at Savage Machining, and we make the opposite of what Mike makes, which is really, really tiny stuff. I have been at Savage Machining for the last 18 years. I don't think there's anything on my bio up here, but I actually started as just an office manager there, and I'm now the operations manager of the whole facility. But we are primarily specialized in CNC milling and turning, so precision machining for small parts. So a lot of things that we make go on, the things that Mike, you're sending. We have parts that have gone on the Mars rover, little parts we've built things that have gone on the ISS for their water filtration system. We also support the drone manufacturing for the government sector. We've also done a little bit of work in the automotive industry, and we also have done some work in the entertainment industry by building some camera mounts and housings for the IMAX cameras that are used today. So that's been really cool. The next thing we have on here was the Innovator. So we also make prototype work. We work with entrepreneurs or people who have a special product they want to offer to somebody like Northrop Grumman, Boeing. So we've had the opportunity to work with the private sector on those certain projects, as well as long-running and long and short-run production products. We are also a family-owned business, like Mike's business, owned and operated by the owner for the last 30 years. His son actually has just joined our team in the last 5 years, and so now it's a father and son team that are running the business. It's been a great time. It's really close to my heart. It's been a really special place. I've worked there for so long. I raised my babies while I was there, you know. So while growing a family, I've also had the opportunity to help grow this business, and it's been really special to me. We really do focus on meeting customer needs. That's like #1 priority for us. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is the ability to be responsive and be able to navigate our customers' challenges when they meet us head on. It's usually very quick, either quick turnarounds, 1 to 2 weeks, which is sometimes not always, a lot of companies aren't able to do. So we want to be able to help them meet their challenges so that they can get their products to their customers. On-time delivery is a high priority for us. We want to make sure that our products aren't just precision and perfect, but that they're delivered on time, which is key when you're dealing with the OEMs. On-time delivery is like everything to them. It's quality, and on-time delivery is number one there. So those things are really, really important to us. Being innovative, finding new ways to create product. Maybe the way that we started making something, we always looking for a better way to make that product. Whether it's speeding up cycle times, improving quality. The other thing that we really like to focus on, which often seems sometimes the last place in the shop that gets attention, is inspection. We're always looking to upgrade our department there and really be looking to implement new technology in our inspection department so that we're not only we're making sure that we are really truly making the best part possible. Strengthening competitive, Tomas, right here in my heart. We've had a wonderful time just interacting with AMP SoCal. I met Tomas about 3 years ago, and we were really struggling and really trying to make this leap from where we are now into that more expanded place to grow, to be resilient. And it's a struggle when you're a small company and you're facing challenges that you didn't anticipate. It can slow you down and pull you back. And getting stuck in that administrative gridlock where you need to move forward, but you really don't have the staff or maybe not the expertise on how to move forward and get the resources that you need to grow your business to the level that it needs to be. And so that's where my partnership with Tomas has been really, really awesome, and to have experienced a lot of the resources that AMP SoCal has for small businesses. Cybersecurity forums, the AMP SoCal biannual meeting where you get to have a chance to connect with OEMs and see their perspective, and maybe have a chance to talk with them and share your perspective and how you can form those partnerships, which is really important. We were talking today with another small manufacturer about how do you get into those larger companies, and AMP SoCal is the way to help you do that. So it's been, a really great learning experience. If you have a small company, and ours is really small, we've got 20 people there, and it's a great resource. And I really appreciate all the work Tomas and Libby and everyone at the AMP SoCal team has done to help us grow.
Thank you. So the image here you see on the screen, this fish jumping from one bowl to the next, is really illustrative of where they're at. They were fine in the bowl, but it limits how much they can grow. And could they survive there? Probably. But excuse me, if they wanted to continue to grow, they are going to have to take a risk. They were going to have to expose themselves and challenge themselves to move from one to the next. And we find a lot of the smaller businesses that are in Shirley's size of business are in the same boat. And so what we try and do with AMP SoCal, and what our program is really funded to do, is to demystify from that step from one to the next. Take away the challenges or the barriers in terms of accessing capital, figuring out a succession plan, figuring out how to brand and market. How do you find those employees that are going to take you from one space to the next, and help support those choices that they're making. One of the things that I forgot to mention, but that I really should, is that of the cohort that we started working with originally that Northrop mentioned earlier, probably 5 of them have changed from the original owner to the successor. And a big part of that, almost everyone will talk about the sense of comfort that we gave them when we talked to them about how we view the industry and the opportunities for growth. Because it's a huge risk, it's a huge perceived risk, and it's a huge challenge. But by having somebody there who can give you data and help you understand that this may not be too far of a stretch, it put them a little more at ease and willing to make those changes. So we'll open it up to questions in a few minutes, but before then, I wanted to have Elizabeth talk a little bit about her program. Now, Elizabeth is with CMTC, and CMTC is one of our partners. I like to see us as we do a little bit of the prep work to get the business ready to take advantage of all the wonderful programs that CMTC offers, and really the expert level advice that they can bring. So the reason that I asked her here today is because as we're looking around for opportunities to diversify, or looking around for opportunities that both businesses of the size Shirley and Mike's are ready to take advantage of immediately, what we started to see was that they were really close by, but they just happened to be on the other side of the border. And figuring out or talking to somebody, and I can see it on some of your faces right now, like that's a stretch too far. And when you have partners like CMTC who have programs that were already created to help you stretch and help you figure out and navigate those processes, because it's not an easy thing to do, but it's complicated. That means there's just a lot of steps. It's not complex where you have to figure it out yourself. There's already somebody there who can be a signpost and help you figure out from one step to the next. And Elizabeth is going to speak a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Tomas, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm Elizabeth Glynn. I am an export practice lead with CMTC. I work specifically with manufacturers to help them increase sales in global markets. And if you're not already looking at global markets, it could provide a significant opportunity for you, especially if you have unutilized or untapped production capacity. So I'm just going to go real quick through some statistics and then open it up. As I said, if you're not already thinking about it, it could provide a significant resource for you. In California last year, we exported $178 billion worth of manufactured goods, which represents 10% of everything that was exported. And at the top here, we exported, US-wise, $1.6 trillion worth of goods. And the US, or California, was responsible for about 10% of that. And as you see, the top 3 markets are Mexico and Canada, and then China. So those are markets. I would say Canada and Mexico are very easy markets for us, and we have opportunities there. And basically, a lot of what you're doing has application in global markets across many countries. If you're already working with some of the tier 1 or tier 2 companies, they're also working with projects across the world that could provide additional opportunities for you. Key takeaway is, as your made in USA companies, it carries a lot of clout. The quality and label is highly regarded throughout the world. And I always tell companies that they're sitting on untapped market opportunity, their own products, because we don't leverage that enough. And believe it or not, Made in California garners even additional interest. Made in California is, everybody knows where California is. They also know that we have the toughest regulatory environment. That becomes a competitive advantage if you leverage it. The next couple of slides. These, and this is an export resource, export.gov, and Tomas can make this available to you. There are at least 30 countries looking for probably capabilities that your companies do, both in the aerospace and the defense. So these are all opportunities to browse. There's also what they call top markets or best prospects. If you're interested, that could be opportunities that you may want to look at. And if you are interested, then there are a lot of resources that can help you. And specifically, I just wanted to share, a lot of us don't, we're close to the Mexico, the Baja California, and we think of it as tourism. Believe it or not, the Baja industrial sector represents $13 billion of supplier opportunities and key sectors. Well, for the Baja Aerospace are commercial aviation, defense, space, and drone. But there are significant opportunities, also automotive, medical device, electronics. So then the question becomes, why, if there's so much opportunity for our companies, why aren't we looking? And a lot of it is because we just don't know how to move forward. We think it's expensive or it's risky or there's other problems. For most of us, it's just we don't know how to move forward. And please know, there are a lot of resources out there and we can help you. And as I always share, there are only 3 reasons to get involved in exporting. If you're looking to access customers, increase sales, and boost profits, that's a benefit. Also, we do know that exporters, referring to the competitiveness factor and strengthening, we know that exporters tend to be far more resilient. They grow faster, they're more innovative, they're more responsive. So that actually helps you into the future. So building into the future, some of the things that you might want to ask yourself, where are you going in 3 years? Are sales flat? Are they declining? Well, hopefully they're not declining. But there again, if you have unused production capacity, is there opportunity that is available to you? And I would say that there is. What you do need to do is consider building yourself an export growth plan or a roadmap. What it does is it helps you to work with these foreign inquiries, but it also helps you to minimize the risk, which is important. 2 of the programs I'll just share briefly that CMTC now offers. The state of California has set aside funding specifically to support manufacturers, and it does have an export component. So if you're interested, we can actually sit with you and talk out what you're doing currently and then see how you can build out into the future. If you're already exporting, you want to become even more competitive, we can help you with that and do a deep dive. As Tomas had mentioned, I facilitate a program with partners throughout the global trade environment called Export Tech, where we bring 4 to 8 executive teams together. They gain strategic focus, they get connected into the global trade network. The idea is they leave with a vetted export growth plan which they will implement, which minimizes the length of time that it takes you to expand into these markets, and more importantly, it gets you connected to players that can help you when you do come across these opportunities at trade shows, or via the internet, or even trade missions. There's opportunity there. So to reinforce the purpose for exporting, it's increasing customers, it's accessing, expanding your profits and your sales. And I'll just reiterate on the Baja industrial sector, that's an easy market for you to expand into if you're not already doing that. I just sat with the economic team yesterday and learned that there are 90 multinationals, specifically in the aerospace sector. Is there, could you do business with one or two of those companies? How do you get connected? And it's a lot easier than you think. So here's a resource. As I said, export.gov is part of the U.S. Commercial Service. It's the federal government, but it's your marketing arm to the world. They have country commercial guides, so if you're exporting to a country, you can look at that to see what prospects are specifically in the aerospace that are available to you. And as one of the manufacturers that I work with, and he's a firm believer in engaging more manufacturers to export, his focus is if you have unused manufacturing capacity and you're looking to expand, companies should be considering exporting. And just keep in mind, there's a lot of help for you, and we can connect you.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. I think one of the things that I recently saw from one of the Baja trade groups is that they have hundreds of millions of dollars of unmet need for wiring harnesses, for turning and milling, for any number of different products that our supply chain has expertise in. The big challenge that they have is getting the primes that are in Baja to connect to the supply chain that's available here, because they need that precision. They need that. They need the ability to depend on their supply chain, and they just don't have it right now. So that creates that giant backlog. So we're going to get into the questions, and we have about 10 minutes. So I wanted to ask both Mike and Shirley before we go into Slido, as operators of your own businesses here. When you see, obviously there's a lot of challenges to operating and growing here in California, but you're both here and you're both seeking for ways to grow. Can you talk a little bit about why? What is it about our ecosystem? What is it about where you are that not only keeps you there, but also where you see opportunity?
Sure.
You can go first, Mike.
Yeah, so I think that, Elizabeth actually mentioned that California has the strictest regulatory requirements. So California is not an easy place to do business. However, we are still the aerospace hub of the world, and still have the most talent when it comes to guys who can run machines and weld. I mean, we still have that. I believe the greatest base of talent, and so we are very committed to growing and being in Southern California. Not only that, I mean, we've been a staple in our little community for over 40 years. We're very committed to, as I talked about in the presentation, developing, training our local workforce, and making a positive impact on our community. And quite frankly, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities in our sector right now. I mean, we are very passionate about space. We're very passionate about our country being the world leader in space exploration. And so we want to grow to be able to capitalize on the direction that our country is heading on, and on the opportunities that will be provided because of that.
Shirley?
I would say that I really echo what Mike's saying, is that, that Southern California is really, truly the hub of aerospace. And we too, I mean, we've been here, we have roots here, we have a foundation, and there is an incredible amount of suppliers here that help support our team. And it would be hard to walk away from all of that, just to leave and go to another state. And I think that proximity to the aerospace industry provides great value. I mean, you can drive, an hour, 2 hours away to meet your suppliers without having to fly all the way back to the back east or even to the Midwest to meet somebody. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an advantage to being a business that's so close in proximity to the OEMs and any of their tier 1, tier 2 suppliers. Same with Mike, the investment in education here. Our company I personally am very vested in apprenticeship and bringing back the trade school programs in Ventura County. It's really something that's really close to my heart, and I think that's important to keep supporting that. And if we don't, then those things just kind of fizzle and die away. You know, if nobody cares, then it just dies. And we are really passionate about that. I am passionate about that. And I think that's really makes a difference.
Good. Elizabeth, we have a question about export tech or exporting. And the question is, if my company exports to Mexico, are they expecting me to open a location there?
They're expecting to.
If the company exports to Mexico, is it expected that the company will have to open up a satellite office or move there?
As far as expanding, you have the opportunity to expand. The key is being able to connect with, is matching, learning what the supplier needs are, and then matching your expertise and getting connected. And I will say that one of the challenges that we find in exporting is that you have to build the relationship. You have to take the time. But that said, there are a lot of resources available to you. There's a lot of opportunity to connect with players, and what I'm trying to do is actually working with the Baja Economic team to let us know what their needs are, so that we can reach out to you and maybe connect you. That's where this partnership, you know, AMP SoCal, the City of Los Angeles, the U.S. Commercial Service, CMTC, all these players can help you. And then as you get connected to these opportunities, also now, how are you going to deliver the product there? And more importantly, what are your trade finance options? Because these are all things that will help to position you. And always know that your core capabilities are highly valued in the marketplace.
Okay. So relocation isn't required, but developing those relationships is the key to success.
The relationships are critical, and that's what takes a little bit of time. But I will tell you, you all know in the U.S. market, it's extremely competitive. When you have solid foreign relationships, those typically are for a lifetime.
Mike, we have a question for you. Do you have much experience working with recent grads or interns? I imagine the follow-up is that, are you looking for recent grads or interns?
We are, seriously. But yeah, we do. So we actually, let's see, off the top of my head, we have three young mechanical engineers who, one of them who we hired last summer as an intern, and we basically gave him we bought a little 3D printer, and we told him, look, we want you to do a summer project on what can we make on this, what tolerances can we hold, work with the shop, and come up with little drill jigs if they need it, and basically prepare a report by the end of the summer on you know what can we do with this thing. And he did an excellent job. He's actually still with us, doing a great job with the in the mechanical engineering group. Another young mechanical engineer is now our heat age technician, and so he's running our oven department. He's been with us for just a year and a half now. So we put him through a crash course training program with one of our senior engineers, and yeah, he's doing a great job. But we are always looking for bright young minds.
Oh, cool. Shirley, same question.
We have not had that opportunity yet because we're so small. But actually, we just did some tours with our local high schools, and actually I received a lot of interest from a lot of high school students who asked if they could intern in our shop for the summer. We actually partner with a local high school on their CubeSat program that's being sponsored by SpaceX. So that was a really great opportunity and got a chance for us to share what we're passionate about with the students that were there.
Excellent. Okay, so I think we'll end this with just a quick thoughts on what are you hopeful for in terms of your sector in our larger aerospace and defense industry, as we move forward over the coming years.
I love that quote that says what mediocrity is the precise moment when your love for challenge moves to your love for comfort. And I think that really sums it up. I'm hopeful that as these challenges come to each and every one of us, we don't see them just as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow and to change and to maybe not do things the way they've always been done before, but be innovative and find new solutions.
Mike?
I would say two things. One is I want to be part of. I want to be part of developing a community and a generation of builders. So I mean, I grew up. I'm not really big on computers. I mean, I grew up building things, and I feel like that has really gone away. And so I mean, if we can be part of a team that builds up a generation of people who are building, rockets, whatever it is, using your hands and building things. I'm really big on that. The other thing, and I touched on it before, but I'm going to mention it again because it's very important to me, is that we are part of the effort to have the United States lead in space exploration, and that's near and dear to our hearts.
Excellent. All right, if we could go to the last slide on the other presentation. Oh, I have one more question. Is there cooperation within the Southern California Aerospace Company community to protect IP from hostile foreign threats, be nation states or other foreign companies? Just real quick, do you guys have any thoughts on cybersecurity or protecting your networks?
Wow, that's a tough one.
If you do have problems, if you perceive that there are problems, you can always go to the International Trade Administration, and they will help. Yeah. So that's that, and I believe it's ita.gov. But there are resources available that will help you. And then just to answer the last question, in Mexico, you do not have to have a local operation there.
And I think the cybersecurity issue, I think, is something that's on the forefront of everybody's minds. And it's one of the reasons why we partnered with Northrop Grumman to do these programs across the country. And they are free, they're accessible to everyone. We have more information at our booth, which is in the last aisle under AMP SoCal. I also wanted to plug a couple events that are coming up. We're going to be doing a branding and outreach webinar for suppliers, so that talk about the importance of not only promoting yourself online and having a website that's attractive, but using social media to attract the next generation of workers. Your next generation may be high school students, they may be community college students. They're not looking in the want ads, they're not walking by buildings looking for the signs that are posted in the window. Rather, they're looking at your Facebook presence, they're looking at YouTube videos, they're looking at all number of different social media sites to figure out if your company culture is something they want to be part of. And so we're doing this and we're gearing it specifically towards suppliers to help you understand what is expected and how to create a platform that's attractive to the workforce that's coming out. We're doing another Access to Capital workshop that features one-on-one meetings with lenders. I would encourage any supplier in Southern California to join us. It's at the university. We have lenders that are micro lenders. We have CDFIs, which the class of lenders. We have lenders that are community banks. We have lenders that are specially focused on growing small and medium-sized businesses. So it's a good opportunity to get 4 or 5 face-to-face meetings with people who have capital and who are looking to lend to operating businesses. And the last note is just our annual summit at USC in November. If you're interested in what we've been talking about and the services that we offer, please join us at our booth and we can talk in greater detail. And now I hope you'll join me in thanking our panelists and their contribution and time.
Thank you, Tomas, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here.